In Space Marine 2, mobility is in high demand, and no other class can move around the battlefield as effortlessly as the Assault. In this video, we'll showcase a max level, max difficulty Assault build that allows you to rain destruction from above and provide valuable offensive support to your team. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we're taking to the skies in Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 with the Assault. The Master of Movement, Assault is a high-mobility, melee-centered class that thrives on crashing into packs of enemies and following up with devastating melee. Their class ability, Jump Pack, allows them to quickly relocate at a moment's notice, be it to escape danger or move to a more high-value location that needs immediate attention. Our build gives you all the tools you need to initiate, as well as finish off those tough close-range battles. As an important note, at the time of making this video, we noticed an input bug that sometimes prevents Jump Pack Leap from initiating consistently. We've contacted the devs and made them aware of the situation, but it's important to point out that you may run into some unresponsiveness when trying to activate your Jump Pack. This often left us in a situation where we couldn't reliably utilize our ability, an issue we never ran into with any other class. With that out of the way, let's jump in and check out the build. The Assault has one of the more unique class trees in that almost every single choice is viable. Though still limited to secondary and melee damage, they make the most of it with a suite of perks that complement your preferred Assault-based playstyle. By default, they come with a 50% larger perfect dodge window. This allows them to thrive in point-blank scenarios, and it's something you'll often need to lean on for defense. Moving into perks, in column 1 we have 3 choices. Overcharge is a fine choice if you're leaning into charged attacks, usually with the Thunderhammer or Power Fist weapons. However, in this build, we're taking Armor Reinforcement because we're going to be gun striking quite a bit. On harder difficulties, enemies may not die from the first strike, so gaining armor is a great alternative. For column 2, Auxiliary Arsenal is our pick. Since we don't have a primary weapon, we need to get the most out of our secondary. The extra damage is far more valuable than either of the other choices. In column 3, Knowledge of our enemy is our pick because meleeing Majoris and Extremis enemies is often the only thing left after dive bombing into a pack. Perseverance is also a valuable choice if you plan to lean into charge behavior, and if so, taking Overcharge in column 1 is an excellent pairing. For the team perk, Proven Efficiency is our initial pick because we took Armor Reinforcement, but Squad Cohesion is also a fine choice. Both highly benefit the team in more scenarios than Strategic Strike, due to it being a bit more one note. As we move into gear perks, let's first look at column 5, Hammer of Wrath. This allows us to dive into a group and start our melee domination without fear of being interrupted. The damage from Smiting Angels is a bit lackluster, while Precise Strike can be devastating against some enemies, but it also has an adverse effect on our next perk choice. Zealous Blow is our second gear perk, which grants us 10% ability charge upon killing an enemy with Ground Pound, Jump Pack's leaping melee attack. While diving into a group of scrub enemies, you can often fully refund your charge and sometimes gain even more than you spent. If you aren't fighting a lot of lesser enemies, then Maneuverability is a great alternative pick. In column 7, our final gear perk has a couple of choices. We take Pride in Duty because you'll be executing often, which grants you a considerable damage buff on your next Ground Pound. Depending on how many enemies you kill with your Ground Pound, you can even chain multiple together while gaining lots of ability charge thanks to Zealous Blow. Diligence is also handy, but when you're trying to fully charge a Ground Pound, sometimes you'll be knocked out of the air, so Pride and Duty is our choice. Last but not least, the signature perk. Due to the aforementioned input bug, we recommend taking Ample Ammunition so you're always ready to fire when your Jump Pack completes. Ascension is a great perk when using Jump Pack Leap to remove yourself from danger, but since the input is unreliable, we take the Reload. Commitment is always viable if you're running Aerial Grace in column 7, but the duration is a bit short, so we prefer to ensure our secondary is always ready to go. This build gives the Assault a number of enhancements to round out both offense and defense. It's designed to keep your armor up, strengthen gun blasts, and enable massive ability refund on group kills through Ground Pound. Next, let's check out the weapons. With limited weapon choices and no primary option at all, Assault needs to make the most of whatever they're wielding. For our secondary, we pick the Heavy Bolt Pistol, and the variant is Ophelian Liberation Alpha, because we want the extra ammunition. However, if you find yourself always flush with ammo using this build, both other options are viable. We'd recommend Gathalamor Crusade due to its amazing accuracy since we are building into headshot damage anyways. Here are the perks. Since we're starting on the bottom row, Great Might is our first pick. Extra range damage versus Terminus enemies is a welcome addition since you won't always be able to maximize melee in every situation. We follow with Death Strike for the damage boost post-melee kill on a Majoris or greater enemy. This will happen frequently, so be aware of the opportunities post-melee kill to utilize a short bonus damage window. Close Combat is our third pick. It's self-explanatory, but will be in close most of the time while playing this class, plus it's a mandatory pick on our path. Just keep distance in mind when blasting. For our fourth pick, we take Perceptual Precision because it's right before our fifth pick, Perpetual Penetration. The spread decrease helps keep you on target, and the penetration lets you rack up damage against hordes of enemies. Gunstrike Reload is our sixth pick. Thanks to the Assault's innate perfect dodge window boost, Gunstrikes will be constant. Having a fully loaded pistol all the time is both an offensive and defensive measure. For perks 7 and 8, we lean into all headshot damage. The damage output of the Heavy Bolt pistol is already quite strong, and boosting headshot damage with 2 Headhunters is an easy choice. Adamant Hunter is our ninth pick, and it's there to give us more offense when our defense is low. Finally, we take Extended Magazine to round out the build. We don't need the hipfire accuracy boost from Honed Precision. It's better to get more in the magazine, just in case. Melee weapons is really a dealer's choice. Assault can thrive with any melee option, but for this build, we are taking the infamous Thunderhammer. Since we don't have a primary weapon to help defend ourselves, we suggest either the Ophelian Liberation Alpha or Beta. Gamma provides wider cleave and faster speed, but the loss of parry for defense is noticeable. For perks, this is our setup. We start on the bottom row, picking up our first of 4 Perpetual Strength buffs, which will eventually total 20% extra melee damage at all times. Next, we pick Fast Preparation to reduce our Aftershock charge time. Aftershock is a slow but devastating melee attack that's done out of neutral, i.e., not already meleeing, and works wonder after a ground pound or when protecting a ledge or corner. Another Perpetual Strength follows, then Shattering Impact and Seismic Chain. The latter two perks are made for each other. Shattering Impact boosts the AoE size of our Ground Slam, not to be confused with Ground Pound. This is the charge attack that happens when already swinging your hammer. Seismic Chain allows us a follow-up that can actually be redirected by holding a different direction. We then pick up our third Perpetual Strength and move it up into the top row with Armored Strength. Our goal is to keep our armor at max, which is why we picked Armor Reinforcement in our class trait. Hard Target or Kill Streak is our next choice. It really depends if you want the range damage when performing light attacks or the ability to prevent knockdowns after killing enemies with light attacks. The damage reduction of Hard Target adds up over time, which is why we picked it, but if you find yourself against hordes, you may want to opt for Kill Streak instead. From here, we go back to column 3 for our fourth and final Perpetual Strength. Finally, we end the build with Chaos Slayer and Tyrannid Slayer. We do this because we want that 10% bonus against every enemy in the game. Secondly, to pick up Majoris and Minoris Slayer, we'd have to take Patience Rewarded, which we currently find to be a waste. When both Slayers are combined with the final Perpetual Strength buff we picked up, we end up with extra net melee damage to all Majoris enemies, and the slight loss against Minoris enemies is irrelevant. And a quick note about Patience Rewarded. On paper, it's an interesting defensive perk that grants an armor segment if a fully charged Aftershock hits an enemy. However, even with Fast Preparation, it's slow, and on top of that, only the point-blank horizontal strike counts. The AoE slam portion does not generate armor on hit, and that's where the majority of your damage, Aftershock, comes from. This makes an otherwise appealing perk less desirable. Playing Assault requires heightened awareness. Awareness of group kill opportunities, awareness of sentries calling for backup, and awareness of the best melee opportunities. Since Assault has reduced range capabilities, leaning on melee is key, but making sure you don't take more damage than you deal is even more important. Jump Pack's Ground Pound can absolutely obliterate groups of scrub enemies while refunding the cost, but it also gives you an entry point versus distant ranged enemies that need to be dealt with. Ideally, you always want to have at least one charge available for an emergency. Also, be careful of charging ground pound too long, as you can get knocked out of the air and lose your ability charge completely. Engaging with Pommel Strike is also a good opener, especially if you follow with a ground pound. Note that even with Seismic Charge, you'll be unable to perform a second ground pound after a sprint attack. Be sure to pick up Crack Grenades, especially when solo. Once in a while, you may find yourself without ammo against a Zoanthrope or Neurothrope. A well-placed Crack Grenade can do wonders, but against the Terminid variant, you may have to run if you have no way to refund ammo and your AI partners aren't holding their weight. With crushing ground pounds, brutal melee attacks, and top-tier mobility, the Assault lives up to its name. It's time to get up into the air and start smashing with the melee-heavy Assault class. After hundreds of hours played in both preview and early access, we are confident that this build will smash its way into your heart, and against some of the toughest content in the game, put it to bed. Our team has worked tirelessly to bring you day one builds of every class, so if you like our work and you want to support the channel, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.